Phillies President of Baseball Operations, Dave Dombrowski, joining the show right now. Dave, good to see you. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. How about yourselves?
Very good.
Finally.
We got it.
Gosh, I've been chasing this dude for years. Finally got a fellow Pollock to come on the show.
I wonder if he was ever.
Yeah,
Did you
it's
ever try to acquire
unfortunate
AJ?
because that means we got knocked out of the playoffs. So that's the unfortunate part of it.
Yes, I
yeah.
didn't want that. I didn't want that, but yes, I'm proud that we find it. So thank you because I've had to go to other booths to try to find this guy. I've had to chase down Brian Barber. I've had to chase down Sam Fold. I've had to chase down Jorge. What's his name? Jorge Valendia. Yeah, I had to chase through him. I'm like, can we just get to talk to Dave Dombrowski?
Dave's around. He's
I know.
an everyday guy. Dave, did you ever try and acquire AJ?
No.
No. I did not do
that. Well, now you're stuck with him.
He beat me too many times when he was with the White Sox. So he beat me too often.
Yeah, I wasn't good enough. He had Victor Martinez and Alex Avila and all those all-star guys. It just had me down there just schlepping away.
You're an all-star too. So. Hey, first of all, so let's get into it. I mean, first of all, what do you think of the World Series matchup? Obviously, the team that's representing the National League knocked out your team. So what do you think of what you've seen from them?
Well, I hope it's a great series. I mean, I've, of course, been watching the other league, too, with Seattle and Toronto. I'm watching them play throughout. But the Dodgers are really good. And I think any club that plays them at this point has their work cut out for them. And for me, it's primarily their starting pitching. And their starting pitching is top of the level right now. So if you're scoring runs off of them, you're doing a pretty good job. The biggest question for me is with Toronto also has a very good club. When you take this 1 week layoff that the Dodgers are going to take, that sometimes it does affect your hitters, and will your pitchers hold them down enough to not give them any runs, basically. But if you're going to beat the Dodgers as the defending champs, you're going to really play well.
Do you look at that series when you guys played against them, do you look back and go, man, because they had a higher payroll or because of a move I didn't make, that's why they won? Or do you watch the games and go, we were in the right spot. Our lineup had more hits. Our starting pitching outpitched their starting pitching, which has gotten all these flowers the rest of the postseason. You had them in 3 of the 4 categories of baseball, except for the wins and losses.
Yeah, I look at it more, and it's a great question because you can look at it so many different ways. And basically, when you lose, they all break your heart. But I really looked at it, we went toe-to-toe with a really, really good club. And we're in a position where you look at the first game, a bad pitch, 3-run homer, and all of a sudden we lose 5-3. The second game, very unfortunate as far as, a bunt that we put on that didn't work at that particular time, the tying run on second base with nobody out in the 9th inning. Third game, of course, we won, and look what happened in the 4th game. We saw that as far as it. So the way I look at it is, and even in that second game, I've talked about it, in the case that they scored 4 runs in 1 inning, well, Kerkering came in, busted the bat, broke the bat. Turner comes in, makes a good play, throws it to the plate. The ball goes to the first base side of the plate rather than the third base side. Very understandably, he's rushed. The ball's on the third base side. They don't score any runs that inning. So it's just that close. And I look at the difference between us as being very, very small. But yet they beat us, and that's all that counts. So you got to look at trying to get better this year and do it any way you possibly can because they're not going away.
Dave, I saw John Middleton last week or so, and it was talking to him. And I said to him, I was like, you're going to get one. First of all, I said, you're going to get one. Just stay the course. And he gives you that look like, I hope so, right? But then he brought up the strike 3 with Sanchez, the one that was called a ball in the ABS and all that. I've heard your comments on that. I mean, if that strike 3 goes the other way, then you don't have the inning with the whole thing where they tie the game and then the Kerkering thing doesn't probably happen. Do you feel that? I know you've said it, but do you really feel that way that if the umpire calls that ball in strike 3, then that changes? It's 2-2. You guys come back to Philly and anything can happen because, man, Christopher Sanchez pitched awesome that night.
Yeah, you never know how it's going to go. I mean, it might make a difference at a particular time. I was thinking back, and this was, you guys will remember this, but in 2009, I was with the Tigers, and we played the Minnesota Twins in game 163. We tied. We played in Minnesota. We lost the game. We lost it in extra innings. And there was a pitch that hit Brandon Inge that would have given us a 2-run lead. And the home plate umpire at that time, Randy Marsh, tremendous umpire, good umpire. We didn't have replay at that time. Saw the replay afterwards and was heartbroken because he missed the call. Would have given us, it'd have been a different game at that point. We would have gone into potentially at that point, if everything else would have followed a pattern, we'd have gone on and played in the ALCS at that time. So, or ALDS at that time. So you never know what's going to happen from there, but it gives you a better chance, of course, because it keeps you alive at that particular time.
Have you had a personal conversation with Kerkering? And do you guys have something with the organization in place to check in with him? Because I think there's a lot of people, Dodgers and Phillies fans and baseball fans, who are heartbroken for the kid.
Yeah, I feel terrible for him, and he's a quality kid, and he's a good pitcher. Yes, I spoke to him after the game. I spoke to him when we got back here. We do have the type of support system that will stay in contact with them throughout the winter time. I think you need to have them a little time to breathe, but for sure, we will definitely do that because yeah, I'm sure he's heartbroken too. Again, tough kid, but we need to have the type of support system, and we do within the organization, from the mental end of it, from the coaching end of it, from the front office end of it, that we'll all stay in contact with him and make sure that he's doing as well as he possibly can.
Dave, by the way, I hate to bring up bad memories. That 2009 game once, that was an awesome game. I know you guys lost. It was extra innings. I mean, that was an awesome game. And the umpires, they hated y'all before replay. Between that and the Andres Galarraga perfect game, I mean, man, y'all had some terrible calls. I'm sorry. Now, I mean, geez, yeah. I'm sorry. I mean, then you had the David Ortiz. I mean, I'm just thinking about, because obviously I know all these because I was in the Central for all. Like they had the David Ortiz grand slam where Torrey Hunter almost killed him. I mean, there was like, gosh dang. I look back and the thing for me about I know you're with the Phillies now, but when I look back on the Tigers, how close you guys were year in and year out, like to just finally getting over the 84, right? I mean, 12 you lost to the Giants, 13 obviously the Red Sox. I mean, I'm just like, gosh, if I was Dave, I'm like, you get so close and you're just,
You're absolutely, but as you know, the game breaks your heart, right? Is what it does. That's what makes winning so, feel so great. I mean, I'll go back in my own, and you look at the Braves when they won the one World Championship. I was just telling the guys here, we were looking at 11 of the last 14 years I've been with a club that's been in the postseason, right? One time we won. Well, that means 10 other times you went home with your heart broken. Sometimes you think you have a club that should win it. Sometimes you always feel you can win it, but you also know that sometimes you're facing somebody that is just a better team, and you do your best to win it. But so many heartbreaks, and that's just you have to bounce back. You have to come back the next year. You have to regroup and try to get yourself better. But it doesn't do you any good to just keep on crying over them, because we'd be crying a lot. So you have to move forward.
All right, we buttered you up with the easy ones. Now I'm going to ask you the hard one from the player's point of view. Your comments about Bryce, do you feel like they were misconstrued? Because we talked about it on here, and I was kind of like, I don't know, maybe it's a little motivation. Which do you feel like your comments about him, not being elite right now, or if he'll ever get back to being elite? Because you are honest, and we appreciate honesty in baseball. That is like the greatest trait besides hitting homers.
Well, and it's of course got a life of its own. I said so many things in a 1-hour press conference, and this is the one thing that gets out there. First of all, I mean, to me, Bryce Harper is one of the best players in the game of baseball. And when I say he didn't have, they asked me, what type of year did you think he had? And I said, he had a very good year. I don't think he had an elite year. And when I say that, when I think of Bryce Harper, it's a compliment, because the reality is there are, 8, 10 players in the game of baseball every year. When they're not, let's say, in the MVP consideration, for whatever reason, sometimes it can be an injury factor, sometimes they just have a bad year, but whatever, it's not an elite year for them. So the reality is that he's a great player. He's a future Hall of Famer. This thing's got a life of its own. Now I've been reading that, the Phillies may trade Bryce Harper. That couldn't be further from the truth. We love him. I think he's a great player. He's a very important part of our team. I've seen him have better years. I look for him to have better years. But I think what ends up happening, and this is not meant for him, and I was reading an article yesterday. It wasn't about Bryce. It was actually about Kyle Schwarber that Mike Schmidt talked about. And I thought it was so good. And I was looking back at my Miguel Cabrera days. Probably the best, as good a player that I've been around year in, year out, and got to 33. And he had won the Triple Crown. He had been the MVP 2 years in a row, and he wasn't quite the same player. Well, Mike Schmidt's comments, because I asked him about Kyle, said, You're getting into your middle 30s, moving a little bit into your late 30s. If you can stay healthy, continue a really, really strong workout program in the off season. Your flexibility has to be there. Your bat speed obviously has to stay up. Your eyes have to stay. You've got to be able to see. I have a 20/20 vision when I played, and it's more important to get good eyesight as you go along. There's a lot of non-mechanical baseball swing issues that have to stay right. So basically, that's what happens with every player. I mean, now I'll take my chances with Bryce more than most because Bryce is an elite talent, and he's a very, very talented individual, and he's driven. So I think that it's a shame where this has gone because it wasn't meant to be a criticism. It's just he didn't have to me. And when you talk about Bryce, and again, there's a few other guys, when they aren't in the MVP considerations, well, it's probably not as good a year as that they've had other times.
All right. So does that mean you're signing him to an extension? Because remember, last year he wanted an extension. So, I mean, just keep signing him, Dave. I mean, why not? It's not your money. Just sign away.
Fortunately, he's already got a long contract with us, so we're in pretty good shape.
Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair. But, he's looking for those, to play till he's 50. So he wants, 10 more years or whatever he was at.
I hope it happens. I hope it happens for him.
Yes. Yes. You just don't want to be the guy to sign him in case it does happen because then, it could be your neck on the line. But I get it. I know how you listen.
My neck's been on the line before, so it wouldn't be the first time. And that's it.
Listen, we're both in the Polish Sports Hall of Fame, okay? So we see each other, okay? We get it.
That's right. That's right. No question.
So, all right. What about the other guys that are free agents? Schwarber obviously is the big name, but Ranger Suarez has been great for you. Real Muto is there. Do you know your payroll yet? Has Mr. Middleton come to you and said, "Hey, Dave, this is what you're going to have, and this is what we have to work around," or does that happen later in the offseason?
Well, every owner's different with whom I worked. John and I stay in close contact with that. We know it's a really big winter time for us, so we've been talking about this for weeks. And I proposed something to him. He's given me an approval on it, so I know where my payroll is, and it's still a very hefty payroll. But I still think it's a challenge. It's going to be hard to sign all of our players just because there's so many of them, and we're also challenged with some younger players that finally in our system are ready to step in and play for us after a couple of whiles. A guy like Justin Crawford, Andrew Pater, we feel will be ready to play with us this year. We've got a young kid by the name of Aiden Miller that was a #1 pick. That's a very, very talented individual. So we're going to it's going to be a tough winter. We're going to have to do a lot of balancing. I think we have a chance to still really have a good club because I think we'll bring some of the guys back. We'll have financial wherewithal. And I think anytime you can have a system, Wheeler should be back. Anytime you can throw Wheeler, you can throw Sanchez, you can throw Luzardo, you can throw Nola as your top four. No matter what happens with Suarez, you're in pretty good shape to move forward.
Do you have an update on Wheeler, where he's at with his rehab, but also as far as where he's at if this blood clot situation was completely taken care of and won't reoccur after they took the rib out and the thoracic out?
Yes, I do, because I saw him the other day. He was actually down, I think it was Tuesday, he was down in the clubhouse. So he's going to be in Philadelphia all winter time. Our head athletic trainer, Paul Buchheit, was working with him at that particular day, so I chatted with him. He showed me his scars. He feels no pain. He said he feels great. They're now getting to the point where they need some more flexibility with them. And this should have cleared it up. They're not anticipating any setbacks, not expecting this to occur once again. So he's in a solid position. Now the timing will be, it was given to us from 6 to 8 months that he will be ready. Again, he's a gifted athlete. He's elite and with his talent, his genes, just like Bryce is in that regard. So we're hopeful it'll be on the front end, which would even get him ready for opening day. But right now he's doing very good, and he's going to stay here all winter, committed to getting ready as soon as he possibly can.
That's great to hear. Somebody coming back from something like that. You mentioned late in the game kind of somewhat killed you. Earlier in the season, in the playoffs, late in the game kind of killed you guys a little bit there. Earlier in the season, Jose Alvarado tested positive for PED. And can you tell me your reaction to that in the sense of anger, sadness, the fact that you as a team are building kind of around him also to be a big piece of that late inning. And then the season ends where you guys lose kind of late in the game. It would have been nice to have a Jose Alvarado. You have an option. Do you feel the positive drug test will come into the decision of re-signing him, picking up his option or not?
Yeah, I think when you talk about the emotions at the time, I think I would describe as all of them. You're upset because here you go, your top reliever at that time is getting suspended. You're angry. I'm also then have a good relationship with Jose, and between he and then Jorge Velandia, we came in. I got the whole story from his perspective. There was a part of me that felt sad for him because I don't think he was trying to do anything. When you look at Jose Alvarado, the last thing he needs to do is get stronger. He's trying to lose weight on it because he's as strong as an ox. So I felt bad for him in that, and I knew when he came back, it was very tough to get ready then and pitch. So I don't think that the testing perspective will affect us what goes into the wintertime decision. We have to decide what we want to do with that, but I'll be surprised if he's not back with us. And it breaks your heart. But it's one of those. The other part with it for a while, like with us, we got Duran at the trading deadline. He did a fantastic job for us. We signed David Robertson, who pitched well for us, and then maybe a little bit less later in the year. But we had felt that one of our left-handed relievers would be able to go into the bullpen for us and help us in the postseason because we had Wheeler, we had Suarez, we had Luzardo, we had Sanchez. Well, all of a sudden, when Wheeler went down, that also eliminated that possibility. So there's just so much that goes into the overall aspect of how you put your club together. But I think if all of a sudden we had one of those guys coming out of the bullpen too, you never know how, again, things would take place, but we didn't.
Dave, how did you go with your philosophy? Because I love it. You will go to win every year, right? You're like prospects. You're like AJ Preller in San Diego. Now you keep them around a little bit more maybe than Preller does, but you're like, I'm going for it. Listen, we have to trade our fourth and third and second best prospect, and we might keep Painter, we might keep Miller, but we're going to trade everyone else and go get the guys we need. I love that as a former player. How come more GMs aren't like that? And they always want to say, well, 10 years from now, our 17th best prospect, first of all, no team has 17 prospects, but our 17th best prospect might be a bench guy for us in 10 years.
Well, I was lucky when I first started in baseball, and I started with the White Sox. Roland Heeman was the general manager, and he was my mentor, a great baseball man. And he basically puts in your mind, you don't have a chance to win all the time. So within reason, if you have a chance to win, you go for it. And that's really been my philosophy. Now, when I say that, within reason, you want to keep some prospects. I remember way back when we had Justin Verlander and people were offering me pretty good big league players for him. I said, well, I don't think we're going to trade Verlander. So you do that, but you don't want that web to be too large because you're in a position where the reality is a lot of them don't make it to be quality big league players. They may make it to the big leagues. So just juggling that act all the time. And then, of course, you have to have ownership support. So you work closely with ownership. If you're with a club, way back when I was with, in the beginning when I was with the Florida Marlins back at that time, we were looking to build at that particular time because we were starting from scratch. So you're looking with a different philosophy. But when you have a chance to win and you can go for it within reason, and I think you also, a lot of people forget, if you're going to get quality, you have to give quality. And so a lot of times people want to get somebody that's really good, but they don't want to give anybody up. And that's tough to do. If you can, bless you and make that type of deal, but it doesn't happen very often.
Agreed. So you brought it up. I was going to wait till the end, but since you brought him up, the White Sox, okay? I know Roland Heeman, I've known him forever, okay? But the question I want to know is there's two things. Tony La Russa was fired by Hawk. You were let go by Hawk, okay? How come Jerry didn't bring you back like he did with Tony to be the GM, president of baseball ops? And then second of all, I don't know this, and I've known Hawk since I was in high school, so I've known Hawk for 35 years. Do you and him talk? Are you guys friends? Because I don't know. I don't know the answer to this question.
Well, I guess Jerry thought Tony was better than me. That's probably why he got in there. So that's probably why he did that at that particular time. And I have a good relationship with Jerry. So he's been very good to me throughout my career and been very, very nice. In Hawk's case, there really was a long time in which I did not speak with him. I would say hi to him because we passed each other. He is a broadcaster with the White Sox and me with the other organizations, primarily with Detroit during that time period. But when I went to Boston, I remember he called me about something to congratulate me, and we talked for a while. And so I'm not, best of friends. Like Tony La Russa and I are very good friends. Jim Leland and I are very good friends. We talk on the phone all the time. I'm not like that with Hawk, but if Hawk was here, I would have very civil conversation with him and respect what he accomplished in the game.
All right, I got one question for you with Topper. You guys, we hear all the time about, oh, they got to change something up. You know, this team wins in the regular season, they don't win in the postseason. I would disagree with that because there has been wins. It's just been close games. Do you guys ever talk with Topper about changing the lineup up for the playoffs? Or if that was the case, you change the lineup for the regular season and then you just go into the playoffs and hope you win?
Yeah, we talk about that. We talk about a lot of different things. A lot of times, and I basically say we talk about everything. I always leave, the way I look at it, I leave the manager's decisions to make the lineup up. My responsibility is to supply the players for him. But I'm in a position where we work very closely together. We give him all the information that he wants. We do talk, a lot of times it's the matchup of the team. For example, this year we talked about, as we went on, should we split the two left-handed hitters, Harper and Schwarber, because it makes us somewhat susceptible to left-handed pitching when you do that. Talked about it, but the reality, after we looked into it, they're two of our better hitters against left-hand pitching, and they hit left-hand pitching very well. So you talk about those type of things all the time, and you look at the other club's bullpen, you look how they shape up, what they might match up against you late in the game. And Topper's on top of all of those type things. So he's really got a good feel of that. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, as we know. And I've been around some great managers that make decisions that don't work at a particular time, but doesn't take away about how good that they do their job.
Dave, as we get to the World Series, would you play Bo Bichette? And how do you judge if you can play a guy or not? Because it's kind of one of the major topics going to the World Series. You had Trey Turner, who had the hamstring, came back for the playoffs. But Bo Bichette's been out since, I think, September 6th-ish, 5th, 6th-ish. So it's been almost 6 weeks now. How do you judge if a player is ready to play, especially a position like shortstop where you need movement?
Right. I can't speak for Bo because, of course, don't know enough about his particular situation. Yes. But like for us with Trey, what we do is you want to make sure, can he play hard? Is he healthy? Can he give you what you need? So, for example, part of Trey's equation was the speed that he brings to the game. So over the time period, we wanted to make sure that we worked with him to make sure that he could run. And then we brought pitchers in to actually face him. He used the machines and all that, but we brought some pitchers from the minor leagues that were pretty good so he could see live pitching at that time. So really the evaluation is, can he play up to the level where he's not going to hurt him? You never want a guy to hurt themselves, but can you play up to a level that will contribute to us without hurting himself? And then you really, I mean, we watched him run. He ran very well. He got better and better as time went on, and his swing got better and better as time went on. The timing got better. So I think it's an evaluation. Then of course, if you play a guy, and depending on what the injury is, will you hurt yourself worse? If you think the guy's going to hurt himself a lot worse, you're probably going to stay away from that too. But when you start talking about people like Turner and Bichette, they're tremendous players. So sometimes 75 or 80% of them might be better than somebody else that's 100%. So those are all the type of things that you go into play. And I rely a great deal on our medical staff. Our medical staff's outstanding, and they know what it takes. So they've been around for a long time, and so between them, our doctors, they give you a pulse of, hey, I feel comfortable to go ahead and play this guy. It's not a problem. He'll be okay. Or hey, I'd be careful because I think if he runs full bore, he's going to be in a position where he blows it out.